scoops.
Dude, with the whole
I gotta get a
milk, Will,
towel.
you're going to be straight drinking ice cream over there.
We're injecting a week's worth of sugar right now.
Hey, well, welcome everyone to another episode. We are so excited tonight. So glad that you guys are joining us. My name is TJ, and I'm one of the student pastors here. We have a stage game for you right now where we are going to have a super cereal showdown. We're going to pit different cereals up against each other. We're going to crown the best cereal of all time. But before we do that, you got to meet the people that are going to help us make these decisions.
Hi, I'm Brett. I'm one of the student pastors here.
Hey, I'm Will. I'm also one of the student pastors here.
Hey, I'm Logan Wilson, and I go to Revolution.
Hey, I'm Bennett, and I'm a Ground Zero student.
So good to have you guys with us. Man, cereal is such a versatile food. I love cereal. I know a lot of you guys watching love cereal. You can eat it literally any time of the day. So when is your favorite time to eat cereal? For me, it is actually in the evening. Like I want a late night snack. Brett, when's your favorite time of the day to eat cereal?
All times of day. I, recently made it a habit of eating cereal for every meal. It's going good.
My favorite time is dessert. Dessert time only, never for breakfast, never during the day, only after I've had dinner.
For me, I usually eat it in the breakfast, lunch, dinner, any time of the day I'll eat it. You're not the only one there, Brett.
I usually would eat cereal at breakfast. That's usually the only time I would actually eat cereal.
So we got people all over the spectrum, classic cereal eaters. We got professional cereal eaters eating it all throughout the day. Let's show you what cereals we have up against each other. We have Frosted Flakes, Captain Crunch, Fruity Pebbles, Kashi Blueberry Clusters, and Crave Double Chocolate. Make sure to let us know down in the chat what your favorite cereal is, and hopefully you got one to root for here. We're all going to eat the cereal, and then we're going to give it a score, 1 to 10. We're going to take an average of that score, and then whichever one has the best score at the end is the best cereal of all time. This is Cereal 1, Frosted Flakes. Let's go ahead and dig in, guys. Man, that's a good cereal. I'm going to give Frosted Flakes a 7.1. Liked it a lot. Not too sweet, but just enough.
I like how light it is. It kind of gets a little soggy with milk, so that brings it down a little bit. But that sweetness and the sweetness in the milk, I'm going to give it an 8.
After eating Frosted Flakes, I just feel like I could go tame a tiger. So I'm going to give it a 7.5.
I'm going to say the same as Will. I'm going to give it an 8 because it helps me a lot throughout the day and helps me get energized for my sport.
You can't go wrong with the classic cereal. I think it's like really flaky and light. So I think I'm going to give it a 7.7.
So that brings Frosted Flakes to a cumulative score of 7.7. So that is a strong score. We got Captain Crunch next.
Captain's mustache is more of a nose hair than it is a mustache.
Brett, it's Cap'n, no T.
The crunch.
It hurts.
Crunchitize me, Cap'n.
That stuff messes up the roof of my mouth, but I don't even care. It is so good. I'm going to go 8.2 for Captain Crunch.
Tore up the roof of my mouth, like you said. And it's not like a great aftertaste. I'm going low on this. A 6 for me.
Few cereals bring me back to the nostalgia of playing kickball in the cul-de-sac than Cap'n Crunch. But I was unpleasantly surprised at how much I like other styles of Cap'n Crunch better. So for the original, and I'm already feeling the roof of the mouth going on, which isn't a negative. It's more of a positive for me, just because I'm, a professional cereal eater. I'm going to give it just a 7.3. That feels good.
Since it brought back some memories, I'm going to have to say 6.5.
I like the smell of it and the taste of it, but it does hurt your mouth a lot. So I'm probably going to give it a 7.1.
And that gives us a 7 score for Captain Crunch. So it is behind Frosted Flakes by a wide margin. Fruity Pebbles. This one's very fragrant, very fruity. It makes you feel like you're in the middle of a tropical forest.
You can hear the crackling.
Fruity, flaky, versatile. I've seen some ice cream places, you sprinkle it on top. I'm going high on this one. I'm going to go 8.7.
It's really nice. The flavor is not too bad. I mean, it's pretty artificial. I mean, completely artificial. But just imagine after eating one of these bowls, I would not feel satisfied at all. It would leave me not wanting more, but wanting something else. I'll give it a 7 because I am enjoying it.
I agree. The flavor is so artificial, and I feel like that's why I like it. I look at it, and it's turning the milk pink, shining up at me like a bowl of glory. And you have only about 2 minutes to eat the bowl before it just becomes like oatmeal. So I'm going to give this a 7.9.
After you eat this, you want something else? which I'm gonna go with 6.5.
I think this one's probably the easiest to eat so far. It tastes really good, but it's like artificial still. I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
This one also got a 7.7, so we are tied right now with Frosted
Ooh.
Flakes and Fruity Pebbles. Yeah, let's shake things up a little bit and go with the Kashi Organic.
This box just screams wholesome. I just think back to the commercials when this stuff came out. It was like a dude in the Amazon and he was looking for blueberries and he was, and I was like, ooh, Kashi, I gotta try that.
I feel a little healthier eating it. I could eat more of it. I'm gonna go strong on this one. I'm gonna go 8.1.
Unashamedly, I'm gonna give this an 8.5. It tastes good. It has a crunch that doesn't get super soggy, and the milk afterwards is fantastic.
I'm gonna be honest, Will. I love you. TJ, I love you. And I love you too. But with this cereal, I don't like it. It gives me remnants of cardboard. Not a fan. I'm gonna give it a 5.5. 2 thumbs down.
1, I bit my tongue on the first bite. 2, it takes me like 3 minutes to get one whole thing chewed up and down my throat. And 3, it is kind of healthy, so 5.4.
It does taste like cardboard, and also when I was pouring mine, there's like a massive chunk of blueberries, but then it is the healthiest one, so I'll probably give it a solid 6.
Kashi Organic coming in with 6.7. Crave double chocolate.
Look at this monstrosity. Chocolate.
It's chocolate within chocolate.
This is an aggressive cereal. I cannot imagine waking up in the morning and having this be the first thing that I eat. I'm saying that this is like a dessert cereal through and through. I'm gonna go 7.7.
I will never eat the cereal in my life again. I actually think the consistency is quite a bit like dog food. Just so I don't ruin the whole game, I will give it a 5.5.
I thought I was gonna like this more than I did. Let me be clear. I like sugar. This is a monstrosity. I already have a stomach ache. The taste was not great either. It was like chocolate, but not real chocolate. I'm gonna give it a 5.6.
I couldn't even finish it, and how bad the chocolatey was, I had to get a glass of water. So I would probably put a 5.2.
The only bad thing is that it gets stuck in your teeth. That's the only bad thing I have to say. So I'll probably give it like a 7.9.
So Crave gets the lowest score on our contest of 6.3. So guys, we are at a crossroads where we have both Frosted Flakes and Fruity Pebbles at a 7.7. So this is just going to come down to a sudden death showdown of you vote for your favorite between Frosted Flakes and Fruity Pebbles.
Frosted Flakes all the way.
Oh, this pains me. This is hard, but I'm gonna have to go with Frosted Flakes.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Frosted Flakes.
I'm gonna go with Frosted Flakes also.
Well, I'm going to vote for Fruity Pebbles, but it doesn't really matter because all 4 of you guys have Frosted Flakes. So Frosted Flakes is the winner of the Super Cereal Showdown, making it the greatest cereal of all time. Frosted Flakes right here. Hopefully tonight when we get done, everyone, all of you guys can go have yourself a nice bowl of cereal. I think for all of us, we're probably not going to be eating cereal for a while. We are a little sugared out.
Frosted Flakes.
Yep.
There's a grace when the heart is under fire. Another way when the walls are closing in. And when I look at the space between where I used to be and this reckoning, I know I will never be alone. There was another in the fight, standing next to me. There was another in the waters, holding back the seas. Should I ever need reminding how I've been set free? There is a cross that bears the burden. Another died for me. There is another in the fight. All my dead left for dead beneath the walls. I'm no longer a slave to my sin anymore. Should I fall in the space between what remains of me and this reckoning? Either way, I will is no other name but the name that is Jesus. He who was and still is and will be through it all. So come what may in the space between all the things unseen and this reckoning. And I know I will never be alone. There'll be another in the fight, standing next to me. There'll be another in the water, holding back the sea. Should I ever need reminded how good you've been to me, or count the joy come every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be. There is another in the fire, another in the fire. There is another in the fire. There is another in the fire.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon, and I'm so glad that you're with us. This week we're continuing in our series called You Got This, where each week we're focusing on a specific word that has the ability or has the potential to have a major impact on how we live and on our relationship with God. And the word I want to talk to you about today is the word community. Now, community is a word that I've heard all my life because I grew up in the church, and church people love to talk about community. I mean, I've heard the phrase, show me your friends and I'll show you your future, like 100 million times. The idea behind that phrase is that the people you surround yourself with will influence who you are becoming. And I think that that's true. But if I'm honest with you, and if I'm honest with myself, even though I think that that's true, I have allowed all kinds of obstacles to get in the way of me developing healthy, thriving, diverse community. One of the obstacles that keeps me from community is my own individualism. And what I mean by that is I still, to this day, have a really hard time admitting that I need help, or that I need perspective, or just asking a friend for advice. Like a few years ago, I had a really bad toothache, like a really, really bad one. Like I couldn't chew on that side of my mouth. I couldn't talk. I could barely breathe without having pain. And so it got to the point where like I needed to do something, but I just ignored it. Like I would chew on the other side of my mouth. I would talk less. I held my breath when I could. Like it was completely ridiculous. And it got out of hand. It got to the point where I actually needed help. And so I went to the dentist, and the whole time the dentist just made fun of me, like the entire appointment, because he was like, if you would have come in way sooner, there would have been a lot less pain. And the truth is, for me in my life, there's been so many times in my life where that has been true in my emotional life, in my relational life. If I could have just gone to a friend sooner to tell them that I was struggling, to tell them that I was anxious, to tell them that I needed help, there would have been a lot less pain. And what I've realized is that the longer it takes for me to admit that I need help from another person, the lonelier I feel. Another obstacle that keeps me from community is my own selfishness. I mean, having healthy community requires that you take a lot of time and effort and energy to put into those relationships. And a lot of the time for me, I'll convince myself that that work is just too much. I'll make excuses like, they don't really want to talk to me about, they don't want to hear me talk about that, or I will wait forever to respond to a text message from a concerned friend or a DM from a friend, because the effort that it would take for me to write out a response just takes too much time. And I convince myself that, man, by saving all of this time, by not entering into those relationships, by not responding to those text messages, I have all of this time to work on myself. That's a good thing. But most of the time I just waste that. I waste that time on Instagram and binge watching Netflix. Man, what keeps you from community? Maybe it might be pride. You don't want to look stupid in front of your friends. Or maybe it's excuses like, I'm too shy, or I don't know what to say, or I'll look stupid if I say this. Maybe it's just not wanting to put in the time or the effort. Maybe it's a regret, it's a guilt, it's a shame. all of these obstacles can begin to convince us that maybe it's not worth it. Maybe we can just get by. We can just survive without community. But friends, I'm not sure that survival should be the aim of what we're shooting for when it comes to our relationships, when it comes to community. C.S. Lewis, a famous Christian author and thinker and writer, once said this. He said, "Friendship is unnecessary, like philosophy, like art. It has no survival value." But then he says this, "Rather, it is one of those things which give value to survival." As we are still in a season of quarantine and isolation and pandemic and the coming to light of racial tension that has existed in our country for years and generations upon generations, we are given the option to give into our obstacles that keep us from community, or we can learn to commit to community to see what it can do and how it can change us as individuals and us as a society. Because friends, I truly believe that the kind of community that Jesus created has the ability to change the world. But the question we have to wrestle with is, how do we create, how do we participate in that kind of community? So what I want to do right now is I want to talk to you about one way that we all can participate in creating community regardless of what obstacles stand in our way. And the point is simple. The point is that if we want to create community that's thriving and healthy and diverse, we have to commit to compassion. There's a story about Jesus in the Bible where Jesus had been traveling all over. He's been in villages and towns, and he'd been teaching people about the kingdom of God. And his message was that God has opened up a brand new way of living in the world, and God made it available to anybody who wanted it. So people started to spread the news, and people came from everywhere to hear what Jesus had to say. They were so eager to hear good news. In Matthew 9, it tells us this, that when Jesus saw the crowds, he had compassion on them because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Now, one of the things I love so much about Jesus is that when his following grew, his ego didn't. Like when he saw that more people were following him, he had more compassion for them. You see, I think sometimes we can confuse popularity with community. We can be tempted to think that if we get popular, if we get a lot of people liking us, or a lot of people liking the things that we produce on social media, we grow a platform on YouTube or Instagram, then we'll feel connected. We'll feel like we have this family, this community. But when Jesus' popularity grew, so did his compassion. His desire wasn't to get something from the people following him. His desire was to carry their burdens. And so Jesus turns to his closest community, his disciples, his closest friends. And this is what he tells them. He says, "The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field." And I think what Jesus was telling his community, his disciples, his friends, was that if you want community, commit to compassion. See past fame, see past popularity, and see into people's hearts. Don't look to get something from other people. Instead, figure out ways to carry one another's burdens. Go into all of the world and build community by committing to compassion. So what does it mean to show compassion? Well, the word compassion is a Latin compound word, which means it's two Latin words that make one. The first is co, which means together. And the second is passion, which can be translated as to suffer with. So compassion, it means to suffer together. You see, the connection between compassion and community is that everybody suffers and that everybody has a burden to carry. It means that nobody is better than anybody else. It means that we can all do something about someone else's suffering. It means that we don't elevate ourselves above anybody because we are all in this together. I stumbled across this just a couple days ago. I have a neighbor in my neighborhood who I just kind of struck up a conversation with as I was on a walk, and man, he was telling me that he's just going through it right now. his sister had just passed away, and so did his dog, and he was just like having trouble just dealing with regular household things like mowing his lawn and taking care of stuff around his house, and his kitchen was getting dirty, and like he was just like telling me all the things that were going on in his world. And as he was telling me these things, in my head I was thinking like, yeah dude, I've got stuff going on too. Like I've got 2 kids and they're crazy, and I've got my house is a mess too, and I'm trying to figure out how to like balance work and my household chores or whatever. And in that moment I just realized that I was silencing his concerns because I was more concerned with myself. I was elevating my version of suffering above his. And in that moment, I realized I need to have compassion right now. I need to put my stuff aside for just a second and care for this person right in front of me. I need to suffer together with them. And so we figured out some things. I helped him with his yard, and we did some stuff around his house and helped fix his fence. And it was just like little stuff. It was just little daily acts to show this person like, dude, you're not alone. I'm with you in this. I was no hero by any means. I just took the time to realize that my suffering was no better or no worse than somebody else's. I just took the time to show compassion for my neighbor. So students, let me tell you, you got this. You can be the ones. You can be the generation that starts to build community through intentional acts of compassion. You can be the ones that put an end to bullying, both in person and online. You can be the ones that disagree with people and love them anyway. You can be the ones that put away your judgments and seek to understand someone else and their perspective. The harvest is plentiful, friends. There are so many ways to enact compassion on people in our communities and start to build communities on top of compassionate acts, but it starts with you. So friends, start showing compassion to people in your families, on your teams, in your schools, in your communities, in our church. Start looking for ways to build community with other people by suffering together with them. Start seeing other people suffering and decide to join in, to put yourself aside, not because your suffering is any greater or any less, but because you are a person and you can do something about another person's suffering. Let's build communities that thrive on compassion. And students, it starts with you. And I'm telling you, you got this. So let me pray for you. Jesus, you are the original community creator off of acts of compassion, and we look to you for your guidance. God, I pray for my friends that we would be emboldened to be compassionate, that we would go out into our communities, that in this crucial time, in this season right now, Lord, we need compassionate bringers. We need people to go into the world and release compassion and community wherever they can. I pray that this generation of students would rise up with a calling for compassion, that they would not put themselves above anybody else, but they would be the ones that teach generations above them that are older than them what compassion and community can really look like. God, thank you. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you for going first. Thank you for loving us and showing compassion on us when we were harassed, when we were helpless. Thank you for being our shepherd. Thank you for being our guide. God, we love you and we trust you. In Jesus' name, amen. Love you, students. Peace.